to the CEC on the Grassroots Left slate, and then we're going to have lots of time for contributions from the floor. What we want to be discussing today is how to take it forward. Grassroots Left was a slate for the CEC elections. My point of view is it's been absolutely fantastic that all these constituent organisations that got involved in the campaign have come together, left organisations that, a couple of years ago perhaps couldn't even be in the same room with each other, but have now come together to organise around common goals. And that's not to say that we agree on absolutely everything, but we do agree on some real basics about socialism and maximum member democracy and keeping that going. So this is just a bit of a discussion and your chance to feed in to where we should take it from here, what we should do next, and making sure that the organising that we've all been doing and the connections that we've made don't go to waste over the next 2 years, and we keep that momentum up. Before I get into it, I will mention the terrible news with the imperialist attacks on Iran. That was, horrendous, but not completely unexpected news to wake up to this morning, and I think goes to show why politics is so important now, especially our peaceful stance and anti-imperialism and anti-Zionism. I'm sure we might get to discuss that a little bit further in the open discussion, but we'll stick to the proposed agenda today, at least for the speakers, if that's okay. First of all, I'm going to introduce Mel. She was elected to the CEC from London. Oh, I'm not sure what's happening. Oh, and sorry, before Mel does come in, I also forgot to introduce myself. My name's Sophie Wilson, and I was elected to the Yorkshire seat of the CEC. And these are the candidates that were elected from the Grassroots Left slate. Obviously, the entirety of the slate did not get elected, and that's unfortunate. But we're going to hear about how to take that forward today. Mel, are you with us now? Sorry about
Yes, I
that.
am.
Thank you.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings. I want to see some hearts, some claps, some something. Give me some energy, please. Give me some energy. Greetings, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I'm Mel Mullings. I am an RMT activist. I'm a reparations campaigner. I am part of the Grassroots Left slate and now elected to the CEC for London. I'm very proud that I was elected by you members, and I'm really going to do as much as I can to make sure that we fight for maximum democracy on the CEC. All right, so I am just going to quickly talk to you about organizing and rallying around making sure that we have an absolutely massive block at the March and the demo on the 28th. It's really important that we're not turning up in, fives, tens, 15, 20. We need to be turning up in our hundreds. We need to be turning up in even more. We've got a massive, massive membership. And I appreciate that some of us, will be probably organizing around other organizations that we might be part of. We might be part of trade union. We might be part of our environmental groups, etc., etc. But your party, we need to be there. We need to be there in our hundreds, in our thousands. We need to be there to literally stare down the far right. We need to show them that when the far right turns up, that we will be there to defend our members, that's exactly what we're going to do. We need to build the working class to show them that we are the party that will be there for them when the likes of whoever, no, we don't need to name them on here. Like I said, I'm on the positive vibes this morning, right? To build that demo, we want to have a little bit of a different approach. Not that we're reinventing the wheel. It's not, I'm not that I mean that, but I want to make sure that we are taking back our streets through visibility. It is a priority for us to be all inclusive in our resistance. So that means bringing our families, bringing our pets. We need some socialist dogs on the block. We need to bring our noise, which is our drums, speakers, megaphones. We need to be, some of us very creative. So if you've got costumes you can come into, that would be great. We need some radical visuals. That means if you've got someone who can make a banner, um, that you can bring along with your branch banners, please just get together and make those and bring them. And also in solidarity, who doesn't love food? We can cook and bring food to share on the block. And obviously, if you've been on a lot of demos from years apart, we used to have a buddy system, and that is for our safety. That would be us pairing up with somebody to make sure that the person got home safe. If you've lost eyes on them, you check in on them to make sure that you know exactly where they are. We'll be asking people to help organizing around this. It's really important. And I just want to say, I don't know how to express how important this is. We are in really difficult times, and other people are going to speak about stuff. So I'm not going to take up more time. I just want to make sure that if anybody wants to reach out to me to organize around this, you are free to do so. Reach out to whoever you need to reach out to get to me so that we can build the massive block that will be so visual and so, I don't know, monumental, that we really are the showing of the socialist parties that can be. So, solidarity to all. Yeah, don't go with your trade unions, don't go with your organizations. Come to the Your Party block for the March 28th block on the march. Please take care, everyone.
Thank you, Mel, and thank you for bringing such fantastic energy. As I said, not all of us got elected to the CEC, which means that Grassroots Left doesn't have a majority. So some of the things that we've been talking about for the past couple of months may well be difficult to implement. But it's great that we've got a good group of us, all women as well. Sorry, apart from Niall, who's going to speak in a little bit. Sorry, Niall, we're going to keep doing that, aren't we? To have a seat at the table and to provide that accountability. So whilst it might have been quite disappointing results earlier, it's great that you've brought some positivity and energy. It's exactly what we need on a morning like this, isn't it? Next, I'm going to bring in Naomi.
Yes, hi there, everybody. Just to clarify, I wasn't actually a member of the slate, but the Grassroots Left were generous enough, in a spirit of collectivity, to endorse me because I think they thought I might make a good contribution. So that's great. Um, my job today is to talk about the importance of building the branches. And I think that's absolutely critical to creating the member-led democratic movement that we need. It's got to be the bedrock branches. It's got to be the bedrock of the party. So despite all the problems that we've had over the last 6 months and more, we've actually got a lot of vibrant organisations all over the country. Dozens of them are already represented in the Your Party Connections network, which some of you are probably in. We can tell you more about that later if you want to know about it. And these groups, they're waging campaigns on all the fronts that we're involved with and that we know are important. They're supporting independent local councillors. They're preparing to take the fight to reform in the May election. I could name some examples, but we're a bit tight for time. But there are lots of really strong organisations. Some of them grew out of campaigns in the parliamentary election in 2024. Some of them are actually founded around councillors who were elected for Labour, got slung out, and have managed to build a base as independents. This is the sort of work that needs to be going on all over the place. So what's the CEC's job? Actually, I think I've noticed in the chat people aren't aware the CEC has not yet met. Our elections were confirmed on Thursday morning, and we're waiting. Some of us have been writing in saying, can we have an all-person meeting? Can we have some communications media set up for members? Hasn't happened yet. We did get a sort of all points message yesterday saying they're working on it. Whoever they is, we've still got an anonymous team working away there. But when the CEC finally gets together, we really need to make sure that it audits and verifies what's going on around the country. There's all this wonderful work going on. We've got to find ways of providing members in the branches with the data about the other members in their area so that they can start to get together. I know there are logistical problems about this, perhaps legal problems. They've got to be overcome. so that we can then provide the resources, we can tap into all that talent that's out there to build this party. It's urgent to find a way to do this after Gorton and Denton. We know, you know, politics is in turmoil in this country. We've got a huge role to play. We can't rely on the Greens, although, of course, there will be many parts of the country where electoral pacts are required. We have to think about the national relationship as well, but we can't rely on the Greens. We've got to do the job. We've also got to regard the branches as the sort of basic structures of the democracy of the party. The members in their branches have to be free to debate and decide policy. They're the ones who should be sending representatives to regional national bodies. We've got to make sure that those branches are given the resources they need to be completely accessible and inclusive. So one member, one vote might work in certain circumstances. In other decisions that need to be made, we need to use delegate processes. We can't just rely on people voting at home on their own, isolated, using computers. Lots of people don't like using computers or can't. So there's lots of issues that have to be dealt with in order to build those strong branches. You'll have heard people saying, oh dear, your party's turning into Labour Mark II. This is not just a mantra. It's not just an insult. It's a danger. Do we want a parliamentary party led by one iconic figure, or do we want a grassroots movement with collective leadership based on the branches? Conference chose collectivity back in November, and that was actually confirmed in a way. If you look at the votes in the CEC election for the public office holders, who was elected? Not two of those MPs that were put forward by the many slate. Jeremy, of course, Zara, of course, both promoted by Grassroots Left, also Grace Lewis and Laura Smith, who is not an MP, she has been in the past. And I think that indicates to me that the membership does definitely want to see collective leadership. Conference also chose dual membership because people want to see a united left. Just realised I've not plugged my computer in, hang on. Battery about to die there. So, if you're working at local level in your trade unions and in your communities and all the campaigns, lots of those comrades are going to be part of existing organisations. The best known ones, Socialist Workers' Party, Socialist Party, and so on. Your party team that had been running it in the background did not have any mandate to expel any people on the basis of membership of those groups. We've been through that in the Labour Party. I'm one of many on this call who've been expelled for not fitting in with the sort of ruling ideology or whatever. People should only be excluded if they oppose your party in elections. That's the only grounds. That's something that we've got to make sure is a fact. Otherwise, we will weaken our local branches because so many good activists are part of the organised left. So just to finish off, I'm part of a little group called the Platform for a Democratic Party. It includes Ken Loach, Audrey White, other people that you know. And our mantra is transparency, accountability, and genuine member-led democracy. And I'm thrilled to be working with the wonderful candidates from Grassroots Left that you'll be meeting soon. Not candidates anymore, actually elected representatives. We're here to represent you.
Thank you so much, Naomi. And yeah, absolutely. We were very pleased to endorse you, and I think you're going to be such a great asset to the CEC going forward. You've always been spot on about the witch hunt in the Labour Party, and you're absolutely right to be raising it now. Some of the people that have been excluded and potentially will be excluded going forward are the people who've been doing the groundwork, the people organising the demos that we want to be involved in. How can we express that solidarity with Palestine and other causes whilst, expelling the leaders of that movement from our party? We should have that hard line that people who support your party are welcome to be here. Next, I'm going to introduce Candy.
Hello, hi all. Thank you all for having me. I'm Candy Williams. I was elected for the Southwest, and especially as a community activist and care leaver, it really does mean a lot. So thank you who trusted me and for everyone who voted for me. And one of the real highlights of this entire process has been meeting so many incredible branches across the Southwest, from Cornwall to Bristol, Western to Devon. I've met branches of all shapes and sizes, all with a united vision of improving ordinary people's lives in their community when the government in power is failing so miserably to do so. I've met members who are standing outside council buildings on freezing mornings, campaigning for needs budgets. People like myself who are mobilising most weekends to keep the far right away from hotels where they want to attack and intimidate migrants. Branches that are showing up when floods hit, when people can't afford groceries, and when their communities need them. So branches are at the heart of this party. And while we didn't secure a majority on the CEC, it doesn't change that. Branches are our foundation, and we will continue defending them at every turn. Because without the branches, without the members organising on the ground, there is no party whatsoever. So a few things that we will be pushing on. So firstly, we were clear throughout this campaign that branches should receive at least 50% of party funding, and we will still be pushing for that. And I've had questions about it and about whether that's realistic. But let's be clear on this. Working class members are paying into this party every single month. And for many people, that's money that could go on food, heating, kids' shoes. It's not spare change. So if there are tens of thousands of pounds to spend on postcards to encourage votes, then we shouldn't have paying members shaking hats for coins to pay for a community hall for a branch meeting. We can't just keep saying we're member-led and rooted in communities. We have to resource the branches accordingly. And that means prioritising funds accordingly and questioning whether we spend things on branding and phone banking and making sure that we're prioritising helping members build power on the ground. And just this week, we've seen what happens when people build power and trust in their communities. And that's got to be a priority. So we'll keep fighting for branches to have the funding they need to grow a mass party. Funding for campaigning, funding to organise sustainably, and funding to stand candidates. So data, as Naomi mentioned, we're also going to be fighting to get branches the data they need. I get messages all the time in our Bristol inbox, just last night, asking where's my nearest branch? When's the next meeting? And a good thing is that we've seen more membership growth and engagement throughout this vote. So we really need to be building on that. Members shouldn't just be lines in a spreadsheet that are contacted for internal elections. As I said, they're paying in, so they should be able to organise and get involved in real collective action. And everyone needs the data and tools to be able to do that, to welcome new members, to organise locally, and to build the sustained campaigns that are going to make a difference. And as my comrades before have mentioned, we need to push for real, radical, actual democracy. Branches must have a real say in this party, not just be consulted as an afterthought. It's branches where the discussion and debate happens, where disagreements are worked through, ideas are tested and strengthened, and where people can really organise together. As a community activist, I see the power of people really coming together to do things. So branches should be shaping the direction, feeding in and leading policy discussions, and they should have the tools to be able to hold leadership to account. Because the reality is, we have a serious fight on our hands. We're up against a hostile political establishment, a media environment that will not give us an easy ride, and a far right that is organising aggressively and violently on the ground. And in that context, our strength will never come from a central office alone. It will come from the people. And what inspires me about this party is the depth of organising we already have. Unionists fighting for workers' rights, climate campaigners demanding climate justice, trans liberation group fighting for trans liberation, anti-imperialist activists standing firm when it would be easier to stay quiet, and branches that have been building something so powerful with no resources at all. So we'll fight for branches to be recognised and respected. And we need you in this fight. So it hasn't gone exactly as we hoped, but there's some real positives. We've got 7 incredible grassroots left women, plus 2 awesome independents who all share a vision for branches being at the heart of this party. And we'll be in the room fighting for it. We'll push for transparency, we'll push for accountability, and we need you more than ever. The work that you're doing, the work that I see every day happening in branches, matters more than ever. So, my ask to you is keep organising, keep meeting, keep building in your communities, keep using your voice and supporting your CEC candidates. Because the power of this party has always lived in its branches, in unions, in community centres, on protests, pickets, in solidarity action. And we are stronger together. And the stronger our branches are, the stronger this party will be. So stay with us, keep holding us to account, and let's build the kind of political party that is truly rooted in branches and communities, because that is how we win. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Candy. That was so powerful and inspiring. Thank you for that. And you're absolutely correct, everything you were saying. The maximum member democracy and the branches being efficient and members being able to feed into policy and how those branches are run and then into conference. That is how we're going to get the best ideas. We've been talking a lot, haven't we, about how members are currently untapped and they have so much potential talent, that we are wasting. And when we bring them in, we can utilize that and further unite and come up with ideas that have not been seen before. And it's very exciting, actually. So thank you for that. Next, I'm going to bring in Solma. Hi, Solma, are you there? We can't see you. Oh, we can now.
Yes.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm still in my nightgown. Sorry.
That's okay. Solma, do you want me to bring you in after the next person? I can swap it around a bit, unless you're there. Let's just swap it around so we keep on time. Can I bring in Niall?
Thanks very much, Sophie. Thanks very much for having me along as well. My name's Niall. I'm the new CEC rep in Scotland. Like Naomi, I was endorsed by the Grassroots Left slate as well as other groups across the party, including the Democratic Bloc, Republic YP, and others. I am delighted to be here, delighted to have been elected, and delighted to see so many people here on a Saturday morning when, quite frankly, you could have been doing pretty much anything else, especially on a day like this. I'm going to talk quickly about Scotland because that's why I'm here. And Scotland only has one voice on the CEC, which itself is disappointing, given that Wales as well is going to have its voice diluted, and we can't afford to do that in a party like this that prides itself on democracy. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we've seen so far in Scotland. A few weeks ago, we had our founding conference in Dundee. Zara and Jeremy both spoke. But I think the most impressive thing that we saw in Dundee was the number of people who were there from across the organised left in Scotland, who otherwise wouldn't have been in the same room as each other if it weren't for your party. We had 300 people in the same room with more online, and actually, as we've seen with the Scottish Labour Party conference in Paisley this weekend. We had more people at our conference in Dundee than Scottish Labour had in Paisley, than the Scottish Greens had in Glasgow. Realistically, when it comes to conferences, only the SNPs have had only the SNP have had more people at a conference than your party this year in Scotland, and that's phenomenal. And I think that needs to be addressed. And I think one of the reasons that is because the people who were behind that, the people who were doing the organising for that, and the people who pulled it all together were volunteers. They were from the proto branches, the same people that Naomi, Candy, and others have said are been doing the work on the ground, and that's the only way we can build something sustainable. The other important thing about Dundee is, as well as the fact I'm from there originally and I live in Glasgow, is that in Dundee we took some really, really key decisions. We voted to have a Scottish executive in place to provide our own leadership. That's particularly important because the Scottish Party voted to be independent of your party after a process, and actually we haven't been able to start that process at all. I work with the interim Scottish executive, who again were ratified, so again have a democratic mandate from members in Scotland to take decisions, who have yet to have any conversation or any contact with HQ since the Dundee conference. We've asked for a simple email to go out, asking people to put themselves forward for nomination to the Scottish executive. We've drafted it. We sent it 2 weeks ago and it's not been sent. And unfortunately, as of this morning, we still haven't heard anything. And I think that that's totally unacceptable. It's even more unacceptable in the context of the fact that we have our own national elections in just over 2 months' time. Scotland will be electing MSPs to Holyrood, and I firmly believe that we can get socialist MSPs in Holyrood from your party in certain parts of the country. Scottish Your Party voted to run candidates in Holyrood, but to do that, we need to run candidate selections, we need to have regional meetings, and again, we asked for a simple email to go out that we drafted from HQ to members 2 weeks ago, and that has not happened. We have had no response. That has gone directly to HQ, directly to people we know who are working there, and we have had nothing back. It's been obstructive, and it's really jeopardizing, a once in election chance to actually get socialists elected to Holyrood. It's really dispiriting. Now, I'm actually here to make a plea and to close with that because we've got 9 of us on the call who've been elected to the CEC, 9 of us who are very much aligned with wanting a democratic party that works on behalf of members. But actually, Scotland has very little voice here. And what I need from people who aren't from Scotland, and I know there are some on the call, and thanks very much for joining this morning, is I need you to write to your members on the CEC. If you're a regional rep, if you're in a region, write to your regional CEC rep. If you're anywhere in Britain, write to the public office holders and ask them to send that email immediately and make sure that that happens. Because if not, they're jeopardizing a fantastic chance in Scotland to build a party of the left that won't come around again just tomorrow. I mean, that is absolutely key. So I suppose my plea is, if you believe in democracy and if you want to support your comrades in Scotland, can you write to your CEC members, please? There's an open letter that was written over the last few days by the interim Scottish executive, who were elected by proto branches and then ratified at conference. I signed it myself as the CEC member for Scotland. It's on Instagram. I'll drop the link in the chat. And if you could share that with your CEC reps, I would really appreciate it because we need to get started. People have been sitting on their hands for far too long, not just for the last 6 months, but even in the last few weeks while these CEC elections have gone on. And we don't want, everyone, no one on this call wants to see people sitting on their hands. We want to be out there and working and building this party from the ground up. So thanks very much for having me. I'll continue to be a bit combative but constructive going forward, and I look forward to working with everyone on the call. Thank you.
Thank you, Niall. And yeah, absolutely. Please drop that in the chat and make sure that's shareable. Share it in the WhatsApps as well, not just those who could attend today. Make sure that we actually get it action because what you're describing is absolutely not democracy, is it? I'm not sure Solma's there, so we're going to try Grace next and then we'll come back to Solma. So yeah, can we have Grace, please?
Hey all, thank you so much for joining us today, and also a massive thank you for everyone's votes and support during the voting stage and endorsement stages. Obviously disappointing, not the results we were hoping for, but we persevere. Those of us who are on the CEC, as Candy has said, will ensure that things remain accountable and transparent. But I'm also loving the great ideas coming through the chat. And we want to listen to you, advocate for you. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Grace. I'm a Coventry City Councillor. And in May, I will be fighting for re-election. It's massively important. We can't not afford to fight reform. We have to do everything we can to put out a socialist alternative to Labour and to reform. We've seen cuts in local councils over the past 14 years as a result of the Tory government and now the Labour government. We've seen in my ward library closures, in Coventry local services and charities, public transport, and the alternative. What we need to run on a platform that people want to buy into, one that people feel that they're listened to and they've not been ignored. And that's what the main political parties, including Reform, are doing. The budgets that they're putting forward in councils across the country are inadequate to meet the needs of the working class. So what we need to do is run on a platform of building more council housing, free school meals for school children, free bus passes for under 25s. We need to look at taking back and ending PFI contracts, bringing things back into the public sector, keeping things in house. And by having these conversations on the doorstep, whether we're going to win these elections or not, is so important to start changing people's minds and coming up against this the establishment politics, the right-wing media, who are just portraying reform as the answer. Going on the doorstep is one of the most effective methods, but it's not the only one by any stretch. In Coventry, we've had comrades do street stalls in the city centre, and I'm sure across the country that's been ongoing as well. Start having the conversations, finding members, recruiting members, bringing them along to future meetings, asking people in our community who run the food bank or organise their local housing or tenants union if they want to stand and kind of put forward this alternative vision, because we don't have the time to waste. What we want to do on the CEC is make it as easy as possible for candidates to stand and put this message across, and that's something, along with empowering branches, that we will be advocating for. If we get enough candidates across the country, which, there's no shortage of people willing to run, we're a party of 60,000 members. But even if we get, 800, 1,000 candidates, that will give us a mandate on national TV, will give us platforms to go on 6 o'clock news, and, whoever the parliamentary leader may be, probably Jeremy, to go and put forward our platform and be a viable force against reform. So it's really important, whether we're running in our community independent groups we've set up, whether we're running as Tusk or whether we're running as your party, to get organised, get talking to local comrades, selecting candidates, going out on the doorstep once a week, more if you have the capacity to do so. So good luck, everyone. If anybody needs anything, get in touch. My council email is available online. I'm more than happy to help people put together material, help navigate getting your electoral registers. Can send you, leaflets that I've done in the past and templates if that's helpful. But yeah, good luck, and I hope to see many of you putting yourselves forward to stand. Cheers.
Thank you, Grace, and thank you for that. You're really talking about the bread and butter of us who active in political parties and are socialists. We have a similar background. I was on a Labour council for 5 years and an independent, and left over the proposed cuts, which is not an unusual story, something that's happening up and down the country, and is exactly why we need this party going forward. And also well done for being elected into the public office holder role. So congratulations to you. Next, we're going to try and hear from Solma, if she is there now.
Yes, hi, I'm here. Sorry about earlier on. It's not easy during fasting. I must say, I have to adjust my timetable like nobody's business. So here I am. I am so honored to be elected onto CEC. It's not something I was planning to do. It suddenly came about, and I thought, my God, I have spent last 3 years with Transform, trying to build a left party, then involved in sort of collective discussion here and there, and been waiting for Jeremy Corbyn, God knows how many thousands of times, to say he wants to lead this party. And then suddenly, we see Zara saying, yes, I want to lead this party. And then he comes along. That's from my perspective, from my view. We wanted him all along. And that is why I'm so pleased that both of them, will lead this party. I'm not going to accept anything else. We said collective leadership, and it must be collective leadership. I've been asked to talk about Palestine. I think many of us, over the last 2.5 years, spent so much of our time, energy, passion, trying to stop this genocide. Imagine, human being just watching this genocide going along. And majority of us, I would say, majority of us are trying to stand up for Palestine, stand against the genocide. So in Colchester, where I live at the moment, I called the first vigil. That was October the 10th, 2023. And from that, we developed our campaign into something incredible, where we brought people together. People of all faith, people of all background, people of all political affiliation, and that is why, after working on Palestine with people of all political affiliation, I am 100% certain about dual membership, about taking on everybody along with your party. We don't need to label, red, blue, green. If they have the passion for, the political change, if they have the passion that they believe that there should be no status quo, that we need a strong socialist party. So from this campaign, we've been holding vigil every single week, no matter what the weather's been. While I've been in Bangladesh, my team has been carrying on these vigils in all sorts of weather. So tomorrow will be our 124th week of vigil. We not only do vigil, we do educational program. We've been holding marches in Colchester. Colchester hasn't seen much sort of active kind of marches for a long time, and we did that. So I would say on Palestine, most of us socialists, particularly, are very, very passionate about making Palestine free, because we do not like oppression, we do not like occupation, and obviously we do not like to be ruled by establishment or monarchy, and that's another thing we want to get rid of. So when there is a issue comes up, who comes along? It's us, the left, us socialists, that comes along, tries to save the world. And this is why I think many of us are involved in politics, involved in your party, because we want to see a change. We want to see, I have talked about this before. Do we really want just reform tinkering around, or do we want a political revolution? For me, it's very clear. I want a political revolution. And that means, taking on the challenges on housing, challenges on education, challenges on NHS. These are bread and butter, of a society, especially a society that we are supposed to be the sixth richest country in the world. And yet, we see poverty, hunger. And that's something I can't understand, originally coming from Bangladesh. Even in Bangladesh, we have stopped a lot of hungers. We have been, our economic situation in Bangladesh has improved. So we can do it here, So going back to Palestine, please do not stop your campaign. Do not, because it's not over. Because of the world leaders that we are in this situation, and we can't give up on Palestine. We can't give up on Sudan and all these other countries that are suffering at the moment. And being an international party, internationals, your party, I believe we really have to get involved on international issues. I'm not liking what's happening in Iran, for example, or Venezuela. How dare Trump goes and take somebody out of the country. So, we really have to fight on international issues, and we must not forget what's happening with Palestine. We carry on our passion, carry on our activities around Palestine and all the other countries that are suffering. So thank you so much for electing me. Thank you so much for giving me this huge responsibility. I am daunted, but I'm also really looking forward to it. So thank you. for electing me.
Thank you so much, Solma. Definitely, I think your perspective on some of those issues are going to be much needed, unfortunately, over the next couple of months, aren't they? So thank you for joining us. Next, we're going to introduce Sarah.
Thanks, Sophie. Thank you so much to everyone who is spending their Saturday morning with us. We are meeting today at a moment of real danger in terms of what is happening across the Middle East. An Omani negotiator said that a peace deal between the US and Iran was within hours, and just hours later, the US and Israel have bombed Iran. There wasn't an imminent threat. There is no legal basis, and this has happened in the middle of negotiations while we see Cuba being starved, while genocide continues in Gaza, while countries like Greenland have been threatened. We are witnessing another illegal war, another imperialist war, dressed up in the language of security and democracy. And so there are many people who are rightly anxious about the direction the world is heading in. And this underlines the sheer importance of building a political movement that stands against all forms of imperialism, a movement that will defend the right of people everywhere to live free from violence, occupation, apartheid, and all forms of coercion. And that's why it's important that we connect our struggles and ask, why are our communities constantly told there is no money for schools, hospitals, and housing, yet endless pots of money for war? And that's why we demand wages, not weapons, and welfare, not warfare. And if our party is going to be connecting those struggles and to be worthy of that task, it has to be democratic from the top to the bottom. A party that cannot empower or trust its own members cannot take on landlords, lobby interests, or an unaccountable British state. It cannot hope to stand up for anyone else. And that brings us to why we're here today. The CEC elections have obviously taken place, and disappointingly, we did not win the majority that we wanted. But we did elect 7 Grassroots Left candidates onto the CEC, and we supported 2 independents who also got onto the CEC, and that gives us a clear mandate on the CEC from thousands of members from across the country who want a party that is not a Labour 2.0, a party that is rooted in its branches, accountable and transparent to its members, and is serious about building power in our communities as a democratic socialist alternative. And many people have already spoken about this, but at our conference in November, we had 2 major wins as a grassroots movement. The first one was collective leadership, and that means every CEC member, every single one of us, carry equal weight, equal authority, and an equal mandate. There is no single leader. That's what conference voted against. And so the CEC is where our collective leadership is shared, where responsibility is shared and accountability is shared. This is what members chose, and this is what we have to defend. So even in our minority position, we're not bystanders or passengers. We are part of the leadership of this party. And that gives us a serious responsibility to push for democratic reforms that members have been crying out loud for. I've been lucky and privileged to be able to meet so many members up and down the country. I've been able to visit Glasgow, I was in Dundee, I've been to Merthyr Tydfil, I've been to Cardiff, and many, many towns and cities across England as well. And being able to see the work that has gone on is truly inspiring, where our proto branches because they haven't been recognized, they are the party. Without them, this party does not exist. These are the spaces where people have held meetings, organized stalls, campaigned, protested, and built vibrant organizing spaces. Our branches are where our members meet, debate, organize, and make decisions. This is the heart of every campaign, and our branches are the link between the party and the communities that we claim to represent. But if you continue to ignore branches, not recognize them, and treat them as an inconvenience, then this party is going to die. If branches can't get recognition, they can't organize. If they can't organize, they can't select candidates. And that is how democracy dies. And I want to support everything that Niall said about the urgent need to be able to select candidates for Holyrood, to be able to send resources to Scotland. Because if we're not fielding your party candidate, we are not on the pitch. We can't get socialists elected. And so the first task is simple. We need to build the strongest branch network the party has ever seen. And whether the centre supports this or not, we have to continue doing that work branch by branch, town by town. And as a slate, we also pledged access to membership data, because without data, branches can't do the bare minimum of contacting their members. They don't even know who their members are, plan meetings, build campaigns, mobilize volunteers, or select candidates. And I need to stress that the reasons that people have been given around GDPR are utter bullshit. We've all been in political spaces or political parties where you have branches that elect officers who have access to data. It is done in a safe, secure way as per GDPR. So when that bullshit reason is given, we have to shut it down. This is the reason why branches have been denied membership is not a legal reason, it's not a technical reason, it is a political choice to centralize power, to keep members passive, to weaken our branches. And that issue is impossible to ignore. So everyone on the CEC must be calling this out and urgently allowing branches to have access to membership data. Every organizer, every branch, every member understands that data is democracy. And so we have to raise this in every CEC meeting. We don't even know when the first one is taking place. We have not even been contacted. We've just been told, congratulations, you're on the CEC. So that's the level of information we're working with. And I will not stop, and we will not stop until every branch has access to the information it needs to function. But branches can't run campaigns on sheer enthusiasm and dedication and commitment. They cannot print leaflets with enthusiasm, dedication, and commitment. They can't hire rooms with enthusiasm because that doesn't pay the bills. And so when our members are paying for events out of their own pocket or having to constantly raise money at the end of the meeting, that is not a democratic party. This party has 60,000 members. It has resources, and the fact that tens of thousands of pounds was spent to send out postal reminders for people to vote. And I'm told that has never happened in any internal election in British politics. I think that's shocking. I think there needs to be a real financial audit about all the money that has been spent in the name of members. And we need to look at that line by line. So we need to be able to then allocate money, at least 50% of resources to membership, to our branches to be able to organise. The current state of play is unsustainable, undemocratic, and unfair. And therefore, the simple principle is at least half of all membership subscriptions go directly to branches, because that's where the work is happening. That's where members are organising, and that's where all of our elections will be won. So they have to be properly funded. That is non-negotiable. And because we have collective leadership, a major win at the November conference, no one can claim the authority of being a single leader. That is literally what conference and our membership voted against. Every CEC member has equal responsibility to deliver these democratic reforms, empower branches, ensure transparency, accountability, and fairness. And this cannot be seen in a factional way. This is what members want and what members voted for. Is part of our constitution. And because we also won dual membership at conference, we can't accept the expulsions, the witch hunts that have continued to take place even during the CEC election. It is our job to unite the left. It is our job to be a home for all socialists. We are not here to build another Labour Party. I did not leave the Labour Party to create another one, and we cannot accept a Labour 2.0. We also know what's happening in Manchester, where branches weren't recognised, they didn't have data, they didn't have resources, and therefore were denied the ability to select their own candidate. I've constantly said that can't happen again, but it will happen again in the May elections unless we are calling out these failures as evidence that the current system isn't working, and that we need to have field candidates in May 2026, our own Your Party candidates, and not just doing deals on the sidelines, and without any kind of democratic process, endorsing organizations with no, democratic process to do that. So this meeting, my remarks began talking about the dangerous world that we find ourselves in, where powerful states act with impunity, have set international law on fire, and it's working class people who will always pay the price. And against that, this is the time for a movement that is rooted in democracy, in socialism, in peace, a movement that stands with people everywhere from Cuba to Palestine to Iran, who are resisting domination, who are resisting imperialism, a movement that understands that the struggle for democracy inside our party is part of a struggle for a better world. And that's why the work that we do now truly matters. The choice that we have and the choice that faces our movement is the same choice that generations before us have also had to face. And that is socialism or barbarism. We have to organize, we have to build, we have to make this party worthy of the world we want to create. Because democracy and putting our members in charge has always been the goal. It has not just been a slogan. That has not changed, and it should not for you either. So thank you so much in solidarity.
Thank you so much, Sarah. You're absolutely right. That so much of the work that we have to do is really urgent, really imminent. I can see from some of the chat, people saying we need to meet like yesterday. It needs to be done, doesn't it, as soon as possible. And solidarity, I know you've been standing firm in the face of so much crap, to be honest. Anyway, that leads us to the end of our contributions from our newly elected CEC members from Grassroots Left Slate and those that we endorsed. And for those that missed the start of the meeting, my name's Sophie Wilson. I'm chairing this today. This is our first public meeting of Grassroots Left and supporters since the vote earlier this week. Some of it was quite disappointing. We didn't get everybody elected, but we do now have a seat at the table. And today we're discussing what we do next and our next steps. So the next part of this meeting is going to be contributions from everybody else, from you guys. Questions. It doesn't have to be a question. You can just make a comment if you want. That's absolutely fine. We're going to keep going for about another maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I'm going to try and ask you guys to keep your contributions to 2 minutes just to make sure that everybody does get a chance to speak that wishes to do so. If you'd like to speak, please just raise your hand via Zoom and I'll call you out in that order until we're done. So first of all, can we take Tina, please?
Thank you very much, comrades. All the speakers are very gracious in defeat, I have to say. I feel a little bit more angry, I gotta be honest. I think this election was rigged from the beginning to the end. The people who run the party also ran this election, an outrage. They had access to data. They certainly used it. They were red baiting their way through this election. It is a miracle that with all, this uphill struggle we've fought, we got at least 7 candidates, members on the CEC is a miracle. And, it's brilliant. And it shows there are thousands of people who do want a democratic, transparent, active party that actually does stuff and doesn't just sort of tag on to the Green Party, which just seems to be what the new majority wants to do. I'm hearing very worrying reports about the branches not being recognized for some time, that they're planning assemblies. Remember the regional assemblies, how wonderful they were? No decisions made, everybody waffling, and nothing changes. So assemblies to plan, how fantastic we can make branches. In the same time, your party is going down the pan because the Green Party is running rings around us. It's got the same kind of wishy-washy program at the moment. I fear that the CEC will become a similar, the plan is to have it in a similar way running as the NEC and the Labour Party was. You have meetings every 6-8 weeks where you can have a strong statement of criticism of what the party leadership's been doing, but that this will not probably be the CEC, unfortunately, where the fight's going to be. And that we as the left really have to actually step up now, our organization, that we should consider things like Grassroots Left conference off with the proto branches, making sure we keep pushing that we are organized from below, because it's not going to be able, it's not going to be facilitated from above, unfortunately. There's the 20% quorum for branches, which will be very difficult in some areas.
Can I wrap you up, please, comrade?
Sorry, but it's just a plea that comrades don't be too disappointed. It's hard, but we'll have to carry on organizing, and we'll have to stick together and put up a fight now.
Thank you for that, Tina. I'm going to bring in Mike next.
Hi, comrades. My name is Mike Foster. I'm from Huddersfield. We've set up a local group here called the People's Alliance for Change and Equality, which was set up long before your party was born. It's an alliance that's built around active campaigns against the cuts, against the closures, against privatisation. It's brought in activists from the Palestine campaign, Stand Up to Racism. We've set up an alternative pride group. We've also established a Disabled People Against the Cuts group. So this is a living, breathing, community-based alliance, which has been looking towards your party so that we could establish a national network and begin to work together. It's unfortunate that this still hasn't happened, and I have to agree with those CEC members, and congratulations to you all, that we have to prioritise the branches. Obviously, a party is built around a programme, which is important, but then it's built around its members, and members need a vision and a hope, and they need, of course, as many of the comrades have said, resources. We're now building for the 28th of March, like a lot of you, so thank you to Mel in particular for prioritising that as an event. And we're standing in the local elections. We'd like to stand as your party, but we're having to stand as in the name of our alliance, which we've registered with the Electoral Commission. So I'm asking the CEC members, and I think it's the clear feeling of this meeting, we have to prioritise resources to the branches, getting the data so that we can do the work effectively and linking together. So I endorse what Tina said about us having a national conference of grassroots left activists. I see Anne Worrell is going to speak. We also need your party connections, the platform that I belong to with Naomi. We all need to be together in a room where we can collectively share our experiences and chart a way forward. And hopefully the first time we all meet will be in London on the 28th of March. Thank you, comrades.
Thank you, Mike. Before I bring in the next person, I've seen in the chat, I can't keep track of the chat at the minute completely, but I have seen that there are a couple of pleas for comradely behaviour. So just a reminder, we don't mind disagreement here, but please do keep it comradely. Now, can I bring in Kim?
Okay, I will try and keep myself to 2 minutes. Click that. So I'm Kim Taylor. I'm one of the co-founders for Your Party LGBTQIA+ and Your Party Disability. And as people have mentioned, YP Connections already, I'm the rep for Your Party LGBTQIA+, and also from Birmingham. I will try my best to not go on a ramble tangent. First of all, Zara is spot on as always. It's bullshit. And I've always admired Zara for the way she's just straight to the point, doesn't take any nonsense. So first of all, for being in the West Midlands region, I just want to say a massive congratulations to Grace Lewis, Zara Sultana and Megan Clark. Now, in regards for how I feel, I will admit I woke up to the election results the other day, and it really upset me and angered me, because as many of us were hoping for a grassroots left majority, and me and my other co-founder terrified, because we were like, oh God, does this mean that all the work we have done for the LGBTQIA+ group and disability group is going to get thrown in the bin, and the many potentially end up just discounting our work and stuff like that? So I am hoping that the people that are on the grassroots left can plead for people like myself for all the work we've done. And also just want to say, because I know there is the Trans Liberation Group and DPAC, that if you do want to work with us, please contact me. I'll put my Instagram in the comments on Zoom, because I was myself, along with other people, gonna give my take on the CEC elections. So yeah, I will pop the Instagram link in now, and yeah, solidarity everyone, and get to London the 28th of March as well, to Together Alliance if you can too. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Can we hear from Anwarul next, please?
Hi, hopefully you can hear me now. Yeah, so I was one of the CEC candidates, didn't make it through, but it was a real pleasure to actually stand with comrades in the CEC slate, because you know what, I went in there a little bit kind of unsure, but I came out knowing I made absolutely the right decision. I want to say, you know, we've all kind of grown up listening to the strategy that capitalists used to divide and rule, right? We know that strategy, but we somehow don't always notice it when those people who are our own do it to us, right? We have been divided and ruled by so-called left-wing parties for so long. Labour has done it for donkey's years, for my entire life. We cannot allow that to happen here in your party. You already started. I saw this happening over the last couple of years as I was involved in the discussions in the collectives, that we were not going to get the party that was genuinely ground up upwards. And so I started, along with Naomi and others, the Connections Network, in order to help facilitate and empower groups. The only way we can do so, instead of just asking, we have to get out there and organize and connect with each other and actually empower each other. That's what I plead to people. We absolutely must demand the membership data. But if we don't get it, let's not give up. We have to carry on working with each other and building together. Otherwise, we will always be, you know, with our cap in hand to those with power. We need to remember that power lies with us and with each other. So again, if anybody who is in a proto branch and isn't connected with us in YP Connection, we currently cover just under 40% of UK constituencies, by the way. We are growing. Please get in contact with me. I'll put in my phone number, just WhatsApp me. Thank you.
Thank you, Anwarul, and I'm so sorry that you didn't get elected to the CEC, but I'm glad that you're going to continue organising with us within Grassroots Left and your party connections as well. That's going to be vital. Can we take Will Jones next, please?
Hello there. Hello there, I'm Will Jones. I have autism, really. What I need help with is to build a movement. It isn't always about elections, it's about building movements, really. And along with other left-wing parties, they say, oh, it's about elections. But we need to start building a movement from the ground up. We can't always rely on other left-wing parties. They can't always win. Please, I need help building a movement. I'd like to say thanks for listening. Thanks for having me on there.
Thank you for that, Will. Can we take Ian next, please? Ian Hollingworth.
It's Ian Spencer.
Sorry, the wrong Ian. Hold on. The wrong Ian.
All right.
Oh, yes, I can. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, my name's Ian, and I'm speaking to you, comrades, from Thailand. I voted for Mel in the elections for London, but many of my fellow comrades living abroad, members of YP, couldn't. They were only given access to the public office holders vote. Now, many times we've been in touch with YP headquarters pleading for an international branch. So my plea to you tonight is for Grassroots Left to keep pushing for the creation of an international branch of your party. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Can we take Graham Jones next, please?
Hello everyone. Thank you to everyone who's spoken so far, and huge congratulations to all of our newly elected CEC members. I'm Graham Jones. I was, pardon me, the Grassroots Left candidate, or one of the two Grassroots Left candidates in the West Midlands, alongside Megan Clark, who, again, massive congratulations. We managed to get her on the CEC. Even though I didn't manage to win, I am oddly optimistic, actually. I think through this election, Grassroots Left has shown we actually have huge support in the branches. To me, it came down to a lot of branch support for GL and a lot of on-paper member support for the many. And the many had to work very, very hard to beat us. I believe in the end, it was won mostly on resources, like mailing lists that were mobilizing those on-paper members. And as Zara was talking about, in many ways, unprecedented interventions in terms of, the postcards going out. And these weren't planned for. They had to do that because they were taken by surprise by how well we were organized and how much support we were getting. And with all of their resources, we still got half as many seats as they did, and a balance in the public office holders' seats. So I think we should be incredibly proud of what we managed. And out of that, I think there was some very unhealthy conflict, but overall, I think it's important that we have well-contested elections inside a democratic party. That is part of the life of a party. We absolutely need to reject any of the horrible kind of racism and stuff we saw, but in the end, we got 60% turnout. That is amazing. That's higher than Polanski got in the leadership elections in the Greens. So this is not a moribund party. This is the start of a vibrant party. And now that those people have been mobilized, let's get them organized. They were not anti-Zara people that voted. They were pro-Corbyn people. They were not anti-GL. They were just, being mobilized to go, yeah, I love Corbyn. I love Jeremy. Let's vote for him. But we can still engage them. We can get them involved in branches. We can build something from the bottom, and we've still got them a huge opportunity to create something that is much more than the Green Party. As Anwar all said in the comments, Hannah Spencer, fantastic result, love it. Within days, a day before, I think the Leicester Greens voted through cuts, the Labour's cuts. So there is a huge opportunity there. They are a party with socialists in it. We are a socialist party. We can do things like Muslim socialists of YP, LGBTQ supportive Muslims. This is a hugely innovative thing. We've got a massive space in your party to create really exciting things in the grassroots. And I just want to support everyone and help everyone to do that. So if you want to get in contact with me, if you're in the West Midlands, or if you need any help, I'm gonna still be available. So come track me down.
Thank you, Graham. And as I said to Anwar, I'm devastated that you're not on the CEC with us, because you would have been such a strong voice on there. Just to remind everybody, I didn't mention it earlier, 2 minutes each, but we are going to have a couple of minutes for our speakers today to come back. We've got about 10 or so minutes left of contribution, so please do put your hand up if you want to speak. We're going to take Ozzy next, please.
Hello, my name is Ozzy. I'm from your party in Cambridge. You may have read about us in The Guardian recently. Thank you about that. I'm also a member of RS21 and Unite Branch Secretary. And I have a very serious and real concern that Carrie Murphy, Len McCluskey's partner, and Jeremy Corbyn's chief hatchet woman, is going to split me from stem to stern while smiling from ear to ear and possibly humming a revenge for me organising with Sharon Graham in the Unite elections. What are we going to do about the potential expulsions of socialists from your party? Because I have a genuine fear she's going to come to Cambridge and hand the keys to the farm to a functioning sociopath who's actually Corbyn's lead cheerleader in Cambridge, who's actually a company director and a private sector landlord, by the way. So I'd like a clear answer on what they're going to do to stop the expulsion of socialists. And I'm just going to leave it there. Thank you very much.
Okay, can we hear from John next, please?
I think he's just stepped out. Oh, there he is.
Oh. Hi, John. You're next.
Hello. Just trying to unmute, sorry. Yeah, I was just trying to deal with some food. Hi, I'm John Urquhart, and I was elected Secretary of the Cardiff Proto Branch by my comrades here, for which I'm quite thankful for. How I feel about the election is pretty sad, to be honest. I think we had a major opportunity, and it has perhaps a little slipped through our fingers. And yet, at the same time, I do feel some optimism, because what has slipped through our fingers is the first opportunity in this new party, and it's not entirely slipped through. Sorry, I ran through. Let me catch my breath. Fine people have been elected to the CEC. Their voices will be recorded in opposition to what can only be called the fuckery to come. And we will have more people on the inside able to provide information to the movement that would otherwise perhaps not have been forthcoming. And that matters especially because I think what is needed now is for us to do what we would have done in broad strokes had we won. Win or lose, the way forward is much the same. There is a new party to be built, whether the party resists its own building from the top or not. We are, after all, the hands that will actually do the work on the ground. Some of the steering committee of my PB have unfortunately already quit. I will not be quitting. I'll be moving forwards with renewed energy, as I think the best way for us to prove the top wrong is by the bottom outgrowing its ability to control us. If the branches become too heavy for the leadership to wield, we cannot be thrown around. And the best way to build that weight, I believe, is through action. We need to get together more, talk more, discuss more, build our ideas for how to build our proto branches, and share those with one another. Centralise the thought and decentralise the action, you might say. One of the ways we can do this on the ground is through relational organising, through having important conversations in which we focus in on listening, something which I know has been done by some branches very successfully already. And we need more of that. We need to map our capabilities and resources, both within the proto branches and that which can be reached within our communities. And most of all, we need to act for those communities. We need to transform the bottom of the party from a party of talk to a party of action, a party that moves from beneath as a difficult rock to stand atop for a frankly stagnant leadership that struggles to balance when the landscape is steady. And that action needs to be international. I fundraise for families in Palestine directly. I think we should do that too, collectively. Help the families on the ground directly by building more and better and wider support networks here and join together with that being already done by comrades abroad. But not just for Palestine, because it's vital that we understand that it's war from
Can I
wealth
wrap
is
you up,
widening.
please, comrade?
And I'm just coming to the conclusion now, sorry. And it is against us all. Incubated in Israel, but unleashed everywhere, and we must be ready for it.
Thank you. Next, we're going to take Andy Walker.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's been really interesting, listening to people's comments. By the way, I was an independent candidate in the Northeast. I didn't get on the CEC. I think for me, it's quite clear what needs to happen going forward, having been involved, like we all have, in various membership organisations in the past. And obviously the branches are absolutely critical, but everyone says that, but what do we mean? And what do we want the CEC members to actually do? I don't think it's a question of just as saying, well, if we don't get the information, the data, we'll just go ahead and do it anyway. Because frankly, we won't be able to build the party unless the branches are able to function by virtue of the fact that they've got access to that data. I really don't think that is even negotiable. And I think the CEC, both sides, and we have to talk in these terms, unfortunately. I wish we didn't, but we do. Both factions have got to basically agree a way forward on this question, because if they don't, if you don't, if the Corbyn slate don't, the party will die. There's no question about that. We need that information, and there's going to have to be an agreement on it. Someone said in the chat that left reformists are leaving to join the Greens. It's not just left reformists who are leaving to join the Greens. There's a big vacuum in politics at the moment, and we need to be looking to fill that vacuum. And yes, alliancing with us as well. But if we don't, and if we don't get the organisation properly set up, basically it's not going to work. And I think we have to say that publicly, and we've also got to say it on the CEC. We have to tell if there is another side, we've got to come together and say, look, we've got to make this work, because if we don't, we will lose people to the Greens and other areas. And I think we really need some heads being banged together.
Thank you. We'll take Ian Spencer next.
Thank you, comrades. Firstly, a huge congratulations to all the people who were elected. Secondly, a huge congratulations to everybody who took part in Grassroots Left. What you've shown is that thousands of socialists can come together to organise nationally. That is a huge achievement, and we need to build on that. If I was a betting man, I would say the following, that Jeremy Corbyn and his coterie will drag their feet over the formation of branches. They will drag their feet with regard to the CEC itself, and it will become effectively something that will rubber stamp decisions already taken at the top. That's what they did in the Labour Party, and I think that's what will happen in the future. And so we have to organise. We are the activists, and on that basis, there needs to be not just the branches. Of course, we have to build the branches, but we also have to have a network of grassroots left activists, and we have to be able to talk to one another as well. And so I look forward to the conference that we'll be building for. Another thing is, of course, whatever your party does, we're up against a slow burn World War III. The drive to war will not stop, and we need to be able to organise to counter it. And from that point of view, we need to be organising everywhere and anywhere. What we've already seen is that fascists, Iranian monarchists, Zionists working together are capable of attacking our meetings. So we need also a network of stewards who are prepared to provide security and safety for meetings that we hold. The BBC, for example, has talked of the attack on Iran as a preemptive strike. They are performing the role of a propaganda agency. What we're actually seeing is the increasing intensification of imperialist brutality as part of the decline of capitalism. Comrades, there is no choice. We have to organise as socialists as a mass socialist party. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ian, and thank you for bringing that up as well. Can we take Adam S next, please?
Hi, thank you. Yeah, Grace Lewis brought up the importance of the local elections coming up because May's fast approaching, and more so the deadline to apply to run as a councillor. Swindon Proto Branch has right now 8 to 10 people who want to run as your party councillors. Our Grassroots Left candidates, members on the CEC, are they in the minority in wanting to provide support and official backing to your party councillors in May? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. I do think we are pretty much out of time, although there are only 3 comrades with hands up, so maybe if you can be quick. Can we take Ian, please?
Hi, thanks. And it's nice to see even more Ians here than were disqualified and reinstated near the start of this election. I lost to Niall with more votes than Ross Greer won the Scottish Green leadership on, so we're certainly not dead yet here in Scotland. I think we have to acknowledge the many's back on track, turning the party outwards pitch. I think also caught some of the dissatisfaction that the GL revolt was also aiming for. I think even without all the factionalism and fallings out, the internal first way the party was launched has turned out to be the wrong way around entirely and let the Greens steal a huge march on us. And I think now we have to try and unite the party together and hold the majority on the CEC to, will it be turning outwards? The main comrade that I was sorry to see not elected wasn't actually myself, but Michael Lavalette, who I thought was a great unity monger in all of this. Reconnecting with the Muslim community doesn't have to mean Adnan Hussein's Twitter feed. It could mean what's just happened in Gorton and Denton. But there also has to be a repairing of relations now within the socialist activist base as well. So we'll have to see how these things go. To have a purge of dual members would be the worst possible thing. We have to stand very firm against it. For one thing, it would be more internal crap. And I'm on my way out right now, actually, to the anti-war demo the Wellington statue east end of Princess Street in Edinburgh. There's one at the Buchanan Steps in Glasgow too, and I'm sure there's many around the country. We have to re-engage in struggles like that too, and I totally support Niall on getting us going for the Holyrood elections. We've already voted to stand in, and I want another voice for Scotland and Wales on the CEC. If it's one, it certainly won't be me. We should have an all-women shortlist because we've got gender balance everywhere else. Yeah, we need to get this party back on track, as it were, but back on track in a way where unity and democracy and turning outwards are complementary and not seen as a zero-sum game where they're set against each other or even a tightrope act to walk, because it's the membership we've been demanding unity and turning outwards all along since the terrible summer that we've had. And we've got distinctive position from the Greens. We're socialist, we're working class, we're rooted in the broadest possible alliance. We're much more radical and broad potentially than them, but they've stolen a big march on us
Sorry,
now.
can I
They have
wrap you
to
up,
deliver.
please?
All right, thanks. That's me.
When I say wrap up, you could all actually finish your sentences, but thank you, Ian. We are pretty much out of time, I think. Sorry, I think my screen's frozen, but I hope that you can hear me. But I think we've only got 3 people with the hand up. If you can keep it to under a minute, that would be fantastic. I'll come in at a minute to wrap you up. But it'd be great to just have a clean sweep and let everybody speak. So yeah, can we take Stuart, please, really quickly, as quick as...
Thank you very much, Sophie. I will be quick. I know people were very disappointed with the result, but I think we need to turn around and recognise the fact that all of the candidates who won, who on the grassroots left, are political people. They talk and do politics. We have the politics, the many don't. And we have the activists to support all of those candidates. And we are already active. For instance, in London, we're active in 17 branches already. And I just want to give a plug to the All London Delegate Assembly, which is happening on the 21st of March. That is bringing together more than 17 branches, your party branches in London, where we're going to be discussing what we do with local government. So please support that. And let's fight on.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping it short. Can we take Hugh next, please?
Hey, companies, Hugh Caffrey, Socialist Alternative member, Salford YP branch. I wanted to raise a practical question. We've got the National Anti-Racist Demonstration in March and we're building the YP block on it. We want to build that YP block with socialist politics, don't we? I mean, sure, else in the official leaflet, I'll be happy to see Lenny Henry there. Nice chap. Not really the way that we're going to mobilise masses of people against fascism, though. So I'm wondering whether it'd be possible for GL nationally to produce a leaflet promoting a demonstration, promoting the YP block, but using our politics, class politics, in order to build for the demonstration. Something to think about. Agree with loads of good points that have been made, but I'll keep it brief, respecting the chair. Thanks, comrades.
Thank you. Next, can we take Jay Karan Singh?
Yeah, I'll just be very quick and probably talk too fast, but I will say the GL ran a great campaign. I don't necessarily think it was won or lost necessarily inherently on the campaign. I think, for example, our local GL candidates in the West Midlands attended hustings, in-person events, and were generally speaking running very good, solid campaigns. Unfortunately, TM candidates didn't really attend like hustings much or in-person events. And I will say, like, for example, there were 1,700 voters in the West Midlands, whilst like the official hustings got like 70 live views and maybe like a few hundred after, and the unofficial got like 50. So I do think it was mostly won and lost on the mailing list. But generally speaking, I will note, I do think local branches and actual grassroots activism within your party has been more favorable to GL, more radical, and more willing to be explicitly anti-capitalist, anti-Zionist, etc. So I do think it's still worth organizing the local branches and doing so, but I do also concede that I have known like a number of good comrades who left in like yesterday and today out of feeling unsafe or even just feeling like YP has basically capitulated reformism. But I do generally think there's still an opportunity to be had in local branches if we do organize and take advantage of the opportunity presented to us. Thank you.
Thank you for that, and thank you for the last couple of comrades for keeping it short. I know it's very difficult, but that looks like we've let everybody have a chance to speak, which might be a first in one of these sorts of meetings. Right, thank you everybody. Just before I bring in the original speakers, I've been asked to mention that there's an emergency demo at Downing Street at 3:30 p.m. today to tell the government to keep hands off Iran since the bombing has now begun. So if you can get down to that, please do so. Downing Street today, 3:30 p.m. Now, thank you everybody. Can we now bring back the original speakers? We'll go in the same order as we did before. Try and keep it to 2-3 minutes if you can. First of all, can we hear from Mel?
Yes, thank you again, everyone. I just wanted to quickly highlight a few things before we go, because we're going to leave in positivity. Anyone that can make this emergency demo, please do so. And I just wanted to ask everyone, while we've got the few minutes left, please put all your local campaigns in the chat now. Just put them up, whatever local campaigns you have, put them in the chat now and big up yourselves, because you're doing so much hard work within your communities and we want to acknowledge that. I just want to say we still need to build, we still need to get our young people involved, our students who are really great at politics as well. Stuart talked about us being political. We are, and we just need more people to feed into our conveyor belt of building, right? We need the energy, we need the strength, and we need to keep it going. John said, centralize the thought and decentralize the movement. I think that was a fantastic word. I've picked that out. I'm now adding that to my stuff that I'm going to start speaking about now. So thank you, John, for that. I'm crediting you with it, but I'm going to start saying that. Unity and solidarity in action. So for this demo, lastly, wherever the working class is, wherever we need defending, that's where we have to be. We need to support this block for the march on the 28th. I know some people probably weren't here. Like I said, if you've got cooking skills, yeah, flavorful food, vegan food, especially for me, bring it to the demo. I know there's loads of coaches and stuff that have been arranged. Just please tell your friends, go into your workplaces and mobilize to join the Your Party block. Yeah, ditch your trade unions for a day and come with the Your Party block. We need us to be together on that demo. And lastly, we haven't stopped coming out to you, campaigning with you, no matter what is going on in regards to, please, politics is real and there's stuff, but we're not going to go with doom and gloom. We're going to continue to organize within our communities. May the 7th is important. Keep campaigning. I've been out with Southwark so many times. I'm going to do some canvassing around my own ends in Croydon. I'm your elected CEC member in London. If you've got canvassing, you want me to come, call me and I'm there. And we're doing other stuff in the background. Stuart and I and a couple of others are doing something really monumental. Can't talk about it much just yet. We're just getting it just right. But trust me, we are moving mountains so that we can actually do fantastic work within our communities and within our movement for Your Party. Solidarity to all.
Thank you so much, Mel. Unfortunately, Naomi's had to leave, so we're going to hear from Candy next.
Hi. And this has been great. So thank you. It's been great to have so many contributions and to have so many people show up. So I really, really appreciate you spending your time with us. I just wanted to thank all the candidates, all of you, whether you were, on a slate or an independent. It was a lot. So yeah, a massive thank you to you all and to everyone behind the scenes who has been so incredibly supportive. And, as I said in my statement, a massive thank you to my sister, Mal. Like, we're in a time of, deep racism. So to be standing shoulder to shoulder with a Black woman is really, really powerful. There's been a lot of kind of questions about what happens next. So, I will be approaching this with the same energy that I've always said I would. I want this to work. I want to make this work. The way that we will approach the first meeting is obviously going to be different, but, I'll be fighting, as we all will, for the branches. And, I'm hopeful still, although the shape of it might look different, that we can all unite around a real push for getting the branches up and running. But I think that the work doesn't stop and it shouldn't stop. So my work, as I said, is in the community. I work at food banks with people who literally cannot feed themselves or their kids that week. I work with migrants every week that have fled awful situations and can't feel safe when they are cramped into a hotel room. So the fight goes on the ground, and we will absolutely be doing our best to fight for that in the CEC. What that does mean for you, though, is we will be pushing for transparency and accountability and things that we can control, and making sure you have a clear view of what is going on in that room. So we'll be absolutely working hard on that too. And then I just wanted to touch upon it as a final point. The far right is not an abstract threat. Like, it is something I think about every day. I am checking in constantly on my brother, my nephews, and, making sure everyone is okay. So we need to mobilize behind this march on the 28th, absolutely. And we also need to recognize the broad view of how racism is showing up. We are seeing attacks rising on individuals. We need to look at, how we're working with national stewards to make sure that people do have the extra support they need. And I really want us to be looking at the different ways that racism is showing up. I've had a pretty awful incident over the last week, and it's just, that's nothing in terms of what everyone's facing. So I want us all to mobilize behind the march, to get outside of Downing Street if we can today, but also to really look at, how things are raising in terms of the heat, and make sure that the work that we're doing, outside of the big events is there too. Big love to you all. Have lovely weekends.
Thank you, Candy, and absolute solidarity with you. For anyone who's been following it, Candy and others have put up with some real shit, especially online, and racism rearing its ugly head on the left is just not welcome here. So absolutely solidarity with you and others as well. Can we now bring in Solma, please?
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
okay,
we can
good.
hear you.
Right. Well, thank you so much, guys, coming and spending your Saturday morning with us. So really from our heart, with the Grassroots Left, we say thank you. And you must continue to support us, because without you, we as CEC members are nothing. We need your total commitment, total support. I'm going into this with open heart and open mind, because I think many of us, even on TM, what they want, the executive members, they want to make this party successful. So I'm going to begin with that. All of us want to make this party successful. And there are some good TM members that we can work with when we start lobbying them for our policies, especially around membership, the branches, and transparency and accountability. I think many of them also don't want Labour too. Maybe, the power it be, who's controlling, they want Labour too. But I'm hopeful many of the executive members don't want that. So, I'm going to work with them. I'm going to work with everyone to make sure that the party is successful, that the party is member-led, that the party is transparent and accountable. Because without that, we can't win. We are not really an alternative party if we do the same things. People see through that. And in terms of Muslim votes, I just want to touch on Gorton. I'm proud of the Muslims in Gorton, and if we are getting blamed for making green wheel as Muslim communities, then I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. Muslims know how to use their vote, and that's something coming from me is something that I'm always proud of, because I thought Muslims were far behind in politics, and that we were taken for granted. And I'm glad to see we are not taken for granted. We have a voice, and Muslims will get blamed, blamed for everything, even for farting, so, getting that blame, getting Gorton win is something I'm very proud of. So comrades, we really need to carry on. We don't have, Candice said, the racism, what's waiting on the fringes. I live very near Clacton, and Farage is just around the corner. I want to see him gone from Clacton, and I want to see Farage and Reform and labor rights gone from politics, and that is why we must continue our fight. So thank you so much for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and see you soon.
Thank you so much, Salma. I think perhaps Grace is not here anymore, so Grace has had to leave. So we'll move on to Niall next, please. If Niall is still here, I know a few people have had to drop off early.
I'm not
Sorry,
Niall.
the other Niall.
You're using his name.
Well,
I
that's just
am,
because
yes.
of the link. Sorry for that. I'm Boris Radoikov. I'm also from the interim Scottish executive.
Sorry, no, I'm looking for, I think he must have left. Could someone confirm
Yeah,
that
he's
for me?
left.
It was
Sorry.
Niall who spoke
Sorry.
earlier who was elected to the CEC. Sorry to Niall Christie for that. Sorry for that mix-up. Well, right then, we'll hear from Zara last then.
Thank you so much, Sophie. Thank you to everyone who has taken part and everyone who's joined us this afternoon. I want to say how proud I am to be part of a slate that has been part of so many debates, meetings, hostings, and events up and down the country, and send my solidarity to those people who weren't elected, to all the independents who also stood to be part of the CEC, and the fact that we had over 24,000 members engage in these internal elections shows the levels of enthusiasm and dedication that exists amongst our membership. So we've got several positives that we can work with, but I think it's important to recognize the mandate that we all have, and that is to put respect on the membership and recognize branches, and there will be no blockage from the Grassroots Left slate CEC members on access to data. That is the thing that we will be championing as soon as there is a CEC meeting. It's what we've been speaking about throughout this entire process. There will be absolutely no blockage from our side, and the reasons that I've heard that have been used have been coming from the current interim leadership. I think it's really important that we organize against all issues that are facing our class. Today, there will be a demonstration in London, to those of you who can make it, against the US's and Israel's attack, unprovoked, illegal attack on Iran. If you're able to take part, please go to that. And I'm sure there'll be loads of local actions, like everyone's spoken about, on the 28th of March. It's the Together Alliance, and it's important that we are visible, we are loud, we have our own block, and we're not just now putting things on social media. We're actually organizing for these events where are connecting our struggles, connecting the environment crisis, racial justice with the fight against fascism, and also genocide and imperialist war across the world. It's our role to articulate how all of these things are connected under a capitalist system that oppresses us all and seeks to divide our communities. We must also be uncompromising in our solidarity with all marginalized groups. And we've been saying it loud and proud that trans rights are human rights and refugees are welcome here. We will not allow anyone to divide our class, and we will not allow anyone to throw any community under the bus, because we're socialists and solidarity is at the heart of everything we do. So the work begins. It has always been there for us to be organizing, agitating, educating, and essentially the fight carries on. So I look forward to the events that we've got planned, and being part of those mobilizations, like I mentioned, that are coming up in the near future. But thank you to everyone who's organised this. The fight to create a socialist, anti-imperialist, anti-Zionist party continues, and we will not allow a Labour 2.0. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Zara. Thank you to all of the other contributors. We've been hearing from the Grassroots Left candidates for the CEC who are now elected onto the CEC, as well as those that the Grassroots Left slate endorsed. So thank you, everybody, for coming to this meeting today. It was great to hear from you all. It was great to get your ideas about next steps. I think part of the message is, you know, we did get some people elected, myself included. I'm on the, I won for the Yorkshire seat, and as people have said, please contact us. Let's keep organising. Don't mourn that we didn't, you know, win an absolute majority. Let's keep on organising and keep this energy up, and share those ideas. Keep going in the WhatsApp, and let's stay together throughout this. I think the gains and the movement that we have made has been really positive to see. You know, there are some setbacks, and I think actually what we've got now is a longer haul to what we originally wanted, which means we absolutely cannot give up. I think people have mentioned today why this party is so necessary and why it does need to be democratic, socialist, anti-Zionist, anti-imperialist. So let's keep going with that. Right, we'll end it there. Thank you so much, everybody, for giving up your Saturday morning to meet with us. See you again soon. Hopefully next time we meet, the CEC will have at least met. We still don't know when we're going to be meeting, but we will, of course, continue to be transparent and accountable and keep everybody updated. So thank you again, everybody, for your contributions. See you again soon.